call this meeting of the Evesham Township Board of Education to order. Pursuant to the Open Public Meetings Act, adequate public notice has been given by the Secretary of the Evesham Township Board of Education in the following manner. 1, posting written notice on the official bulletin board at the Board of Education office. 2, emailing written notice to the Burlington County Times and the Courier Post. And 3, filing written notice to the municipal clerk of Evesham Township. May I have a roll call, please?
Mrs. Capello.
Here.
Mrs. Everhart.
Here.
Mr. Fizzicaro.
Here.
Ms. Fleming. Mr. Canton.
Here.
Mrs. Knoll. Mr. Lanzalata.
Here.
Mr. Megan.
Here.
Mrs. Ryan.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Thank you. At this point, I need a motion to go into executive session, whereas in NJSA 10-4-12 allows for a public body to go into closed session during a public meeting, and whereas the Board of Education of Evesham Township has deemed it necessary to go into closed session to discuss certain matters which are exempted from the public, and whereas the regular meeting of the Board of Education will reconvene following the end of the closed session at approximately 7 p.m. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Board of Education will go into closed session for the following reasons as outlined in NJSA 10-4-12, items 2.2 through 2.4. Do I have a motion? Motion by Ms. Ryan, second by Mr. Lanzalata. Any questions or comments? Let's go to a roll call, please.
Mrs. Capello.
Yes.
Mrs. Everhart.
Yes.
Mr. Fizzicaro.
Yes.
Ms. Fleming. Mr. Canton.
Yes.
Mr. Lanzalata.
Yes.
Mr. Megan.
Yes.
Mrs. Ryan.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Awesome. See everybody at 7 o'clock, approximately. like to reconvene this meeting of the Evesham Township Board of Education. If everyone please rise for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. At this point, I'll be reading the mission statement of the Evesham Township School District. The mission of the Evesham Township School District is to promote excellence in an environment that engages students in meaningful learning experiences. In partnership with students, dedicated staff, families, and community, the district provides a strong educational foundation that will empower our students to achieve their unique potential, embrace self-directed lifelong learning, develop the skills necessary to appropriate risk-taking and responsible decision-making, respect themselves and others, problem solve individually and collaboratively, and become contributing members of a diverse global society. At this point in time, we're going to be heading into presentations. And Dr. Smith, I leave the floor to you.
You know what?
All right. So like we did last month, we are going to recognize students tonight. Feels fantastic. And we are going to first recognize the winners of the Marlton Elks Essay Contest. So we may have Mr. and Mrs. Matias with us. Oh, fantastic. If you could come on down, please. If you'd like, we'd like you to stand with us while we recognize the winners of this essay contest. Mr. and Mrs. Matias are officers within the Marlton Elks. Just down here with us would be great. Yeah, thank you. And if you don't, while they're coming down, if you don't know where the Marlton Elks is at the corner of Troth and Evesboro-Medford Road. So it's very prominent. And we thank you so much for being with us tonight. So,
Joe has me first.
yeah, I was gonna go. Young three.
Oh, okay.
Oh.
That's all right.
Is this all out?
It's Elks, yeah.
Okay,
Elks
all
in
right.
that. So our first, we're going to start with Division 1, that's grades 5 to 6. And the first winner is Midori Johns. Fist bump. Yeah.
Here you go.
Congratulations.
The essay that you so greatly wrote. And here it is, there it is. Here you are, thank you, and I knew you didn't remember what you wrote, but you did a great job. Congratulations, thank you so much.
We're going to take a picture.
We'll take a picture.
That'd be great.
Yeah. You want to get them all?
Yeah, yeah, you're going to stay here, I'll get them all. All right, our next winner is Alexander Lamarca. And then we have Gabrielle Lippo. Ibun Malamo. Congratulations. Great job.
Congratulations, very good. You've done a wonderful job, and thank you so much for all your achievements. We have a copy of your essay, because I know you don't remember, and your parents would love to see it. Here you are. And you have a certificate from the school district. And also, here, turn around so your parents can see you. There you go. Aboon did such a great job. All of our students did a wonderful job. 243 participated in this essay contest just from this school district. And Aboon did such a good job that her essay not only did well in our district of 9 lodges, that's from all the way up in Heightstown all the way down to Deptford, that we sent her essay to the state. And from there, it was sent on to our national. Didn't make it in the national, but you still received a state award. So, not only do you have that in your hand, but I can't hold this down. Thank you. I'm juggling. I would like to present you with this.
Let me hold this over.
Thank you.
I need that.
Okay, thank you. Okay, thank you. This is a certificate of excellence. This is from the Elks Grand Lodge Americanism Program. This is our 2020-2021 essay contest. And the theme of this essay was, how can patriotism be demonstrated? And the New Jersey Elks Americanism Committee states that our state contest winner in Division I with his 5th and 6th graders, Aboon has placed 3rd place in the state, and this award is presented to you today. Congratulations, Aboon. You're very welcome. Also, as a state winner, she also receives a gift card, and enjoy. Spend it wisely and well. Thank you.
Our next winner is Lola Ratenovich. Thanks. Catherine Suriano.
Thank you so much. You did a great job. And this is for you, a copy of your essay. Save it and come back again next year, all of you. Great, thank you.
Awesome. And then our last winner from Division I is Lucy Wokuleski.
And you need the other ones, right?
Yep. Thank you, sir. And then Division II, this is grade 7 and 8. Our first winner is Sean Monteroyo.
Congratulations, Sean. Job well done. You placed very well. You placed 2nd in Division II of 7th and 8th graders. Congratulations.
And then our other winner from Division II, grade 7 and 8, is Soha Kanjali.
Very nice. And congratulations. You have won 1st place in Division II of the 7th and 8th graders who participated. So thank you very much, and congrats.
The children, their elk certificates and gift cards were sent with the rest of the 243 certificates we printed for the district. We do this every year. Normally, we have a Citizens and Youth Award banquet, but because of COVID, we weren't able to have it last year, and we're working on maybe a picnic this year. We'll see, but just like to let you know, that's how they received their gift cards from the Elks Lodge and their certificates. They all did such a wonderful job. We had 4 runners up this year in Division I. That's how great and competitive the essays were. And it's fantastic that we have a state winner. It's only the second time in the history of me being on the committee for 12 years that we've had a state winner. Congratulations, it's really tough to do.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir, very much. Thank you so much. Congratulations, all students. You can return to your seats. Thanks again to the Marlton Elks for all the wonderful support for our students. Wonderful. Okay, great. Come on. All right, so we have another award. Mr. Donio is joining us up here. This is cool. This is really cool. So there's a holiday card design contest that Cooper Levinson, which is the law firm that works at many school districts, including ours, facilitates. And students can submit designs for the holiday card. And if I'm correct, there were 2,000 submissions, approximately. So if we do a little math, 2,000 submissions, 5 are selected as the winners. That's out of all 2,000. And out of those 5, 2 are from our district. Okay.
And this is not the first time we've had winners from this district. In fact, we get to see Evesham winners pretty regularly, okay? So that tells you you're doing something. You have great writers and you have great artists in the school district. But if I could just take a second, it's a really meaningful thing because our holiday art contest is really to promote a charity that was developed by our founder, Jim Cooper, and it's called Let Us Eat Please. And it's about addressing food insecurity for students throughout the South Jersey area. A lot of kids go to bed at night hungry. I can say this year was unlike many years because of COVID-19 and the rules and regulations. Schools were providing meals to anybody and everybody who wanted them. And in several districts, I hear about the number of meals. I was at a board meeting just recently. School district produced 700,000 meals for the children of its community. And it's really interesting because schools get a big rap about doing things, but it's always the schools that are asked to do the most meaningful things when it comes to children. And there's a reason why, because you do it well. So kudos to the school districts. Thank you for letting us get this message out. And we're going to call out the winners right now.
And before we do, so that both winners are from Marlton Middle School. We have Mr. Hoffman sitting right there. So Mr. Hoffman, if you, or you can stay there if you want, or come down if you want, okay? Marlton Middle School put on an amazing 8th grade graduation last night that went quite late. So, and we all, if Kate Gormley, who's the art teacher, is here, she can come on down. Oh, fantastic.
Yeah, and repeat winners are not an accident, and that really is from the staff. So Ms. Gorley, thank you, and thank you for always having your submissions as well. Thank you.
Amazing, amazing. I'm so glad you could be here. Fantastic. So, all right, our first winner, Anthony Abrams. That's yours as well. So.
I usually have them describe what's going on in the card.
Oh, yeah.
So you want to tell us a little bit of what's going on in your card right here?
Okay, so it's what's it called? So it's it's cardinal couple. It's a male and a female. They are at their home, and it's a tree house, like a birdhouse. They have a little wreath, a sign that says "Home Sweet Home." As you can see, there's a little plant there, and there's a bunch of snow everywhere. And yeah, that's
Yeah, it's great. And our theme is home for the holidays. So even the birds have to come home for the holidays as well. So great job.
And our second winner, I'm just going to say it again, 2 winners, same school, same teacher, same district, out of 5 total overall in the state. Vanessa Vittori.
Want to tell us what's going on? Want to tell us what's happening in your card here?
It's a family in their living room on a meet with their, like a Google Meet with the rest of their family on Christmas Eve.
So even during COVID, home for the holidays can also mean a Google Meet. How awesome is that, right? The kids each got a $50 gift card. Teacher got 2 $100 gift cards to spend for art supplies and what have you. It's our privilege and our pleasure, and congratulations to you.
Thank you. If we can all squeeze in.
Thank you.
Congratulations again. There we go. So I'll just say at this point, families who came for the presentation part, we are going to move on next to the board part, which just English is a funny language, but sounds like boring part, but the board part. So if you want to stay, you're welcome to stay. If you want to head out and enjoy the sunshine, you're welcome to do that. But thank you so much for the students and the families that came for coming tonight. And we look forward to just all the ways you find to express your talents in the future. So thanks again.
Reconvening once again. Okay, at this point, thank you, Dr. Smith, for the presentations. It's nice to get back into that. Now we're moving into public comment for agenda items only. This meeting will now be open to the public, referencing agenda items only. However, your questions or comments pertain to litigation, student or personnel items or negotiations, we'd ask that you see the superintendent after the meeting. Since you do not discuss these matters in public, please limit your comments to 3 minutes per person. Remember, again, this is for agenda items only. Public for any items of interest will come near the end. Okay, anybody? Seeing none, we'll close that portion of the meeting. Why was I going for the gavel? All right. At this point, I need to go to item number 6, approval of the minutes. I need a motion to approve items 6.1 and 6.2. Motion by Ms. Capello, seconded by Mr. Cantham. Any questions or comments on approval of minutes? Seeing none, let's go to a roll call, please.
Mrs. Capello,
Yes.
Mrs. Everhart,
Yes.
Mr. Fizzicaro.
Yes.
Ms. Fleming. Yes. Mr. Canton,
Yes.
Mr. Lanzalata,
Yes.
Mr. Megan,
Yes.
Mrs. Ryan.
Yes.
Motion carries.
At this point in time, we are going to go into what is called a consent agenda. Consent agenda is where we combine item 7, which is superintendent's report and administrative items, number 8, curriculum and instruction, number 9, finance and operations, number 10, personnel, and number 11, policy, into a singular motion. All right, so I will need a motion to approve items 7.1 through 7.7, 8.1 through 8.7, 9.1 through 9.22, 10.1 through 10.11, and 11.1 through 11.4. Do I have a motion? Motion by Mr. Lanzalata. Do I have a second? Second by Ms. Capello. Before we go into any questions or comments, I will give the floor to Dr. Smith for his superintendent's report.
Thank you, Mr. Fizzicaro. So, my last superintendent's comments of 2021 school year, hard not to start off by saying we made it. Only possible, school in a pandemic, due to the teamwork of so many people. So I just want to take this opportunity to say thank you to every single person who's been integral along the way to supporting our students this year. And that means from our staff, who've gone above and beyond all year in their roles each day, to our families who've worked to support the learning each day, in person, remotely, to our Board of Education, and I'm flashing back to the summer and all the work that went in, and all the work that went in every month as we went through the school year, multiple meetings through committees, board meetings, special meetings, our PTAs and PTO who work so hard to keep a sense of trying to provide what we would normally do for kids, the Ed Foundation, our township leadership, local community organizations who provided resources and more. It took, and we know it takes, a village. Our village is called Evesham, and it's with great pride. I think that everyone can look back at what we accomplished for kids this year. And we wish everyone on that basis also a wonderful and well-deserved summer, our staff and our families. It may seem premature to pivot from that to talk already about next year, since the school district just ended yesterday, but I do want to talk about next year a little bit, and that's basically because of there's a federal deadline this week, in fact today, for all districts nationwide to submit what's called their return to school plans, okay, their safe return plans for this coming school year. So we are going to talk a little bit about the next school year. And the purpose for that deadline and for the submission of those plans is so that districts can get access to the American Rescue Plan money, which is otherwise known as ESSER 3 money. And the purpose behind that money is to get all districts to open up for in-person school in September. And we might scratch our heads and say, haven't districts been doing that? Like we've been doing it since September, full day, etc. But not everywhere has been doing that. So in fact, some of the biggest districts in the country didn't do it at all. So that's part of the urgency behind the timeline and the money, is to make sure that all districts nationwide open for in-person learning in September. So that's why we're talking about next year right now, a day after the prior school year just ended. So in that sense, it's important to keep in mind that all these plans are drafts, right? So it's June 24th. We have over 2 months until school opens. And we know we saw last year where our plan was constantly updated as changes went along and guidance changed, because we were always looking to stay on the front foot and do right by kids. So the guidance for this coming year, the 2021-2022 school year, hasn't been released yet. So the only guidance that school districts have to base their plans for next year on is based on the current guidance from the school year that just ended. We really look forward to the guidance for next year when it comes out. We anticipate July that it'll come out, and we will absolutely be poring over that and looking for ways that we can improve, change, adjust our plan according with the new guidance. The plan is agenda item 7.4. It's been on our homepage since last week. I did email it to all families and staff twice, along with a Google form for collecting feedback. And I want to dive a little bit, not into the weeds, but just into an overview of some highlights from the plan. So I'm going to talk about sections 1 and 3. Ms. McGulick is our curriculum instruction director, is going to go over section 2 and section 1. As we look through it, first and most importantly, it states that we will use this coming year a traditional 5-day per week, full-day schedule, which is just what we ended the year with, okay? So for us, I mean, everything we did this year is a tremendous resource for how to do school next year. We will be having basically all the traditional attributes of school, traditional movement between the school day, mixing of cohorts, lunch and recess, just like we've been doing, and something we're going to bring back, which didn't exist this year, is extracurricular activities and sports. So that's exciting. Next in section 1 is masks, okay? And this is probably, I would say, the most current topic right now. The current state guidance is that masks are required in schools, that there are some exceptions, which you can go on the DOE website and see, and they're the exceptions that have been there all year. Thus, our plan requires masks in schools. I, along with the superintendents of the 9 Lenape region districts, recently sent a letter to Governor Murphy asking for basically immediate reexamination of that mask mandate. And so we sent that on our Friday. And I don't want to say that that caused a change, but the very next Monday after that letter was submitted, Governor Murphy did announce an additional exception to the mask mandate, which was that masks are not required indoors in conditions of extreme heat, okay? Which was, I know for the districts in our region that don't have AC in their classrooms, was very, very welcomed, right? Because it becomes a health risk for kids if they're in unair conditioned spaces in June wearing masks. For us, the immediate benefit was that we made masks optional on in all of our unair conditioned spaces, right? So for us, fortunately, we have AC, we have air conditioning just about everywhere. Where we don't have it is on buses. So our buses became masks optional, and that helped us continue to be able to get kids into school safely. So we're glad for that, and do thank the governor for that exception. We do anticipate and hope that the state guidance, when it comes out, probably in July for the next school year, is going to have even more avenues and pathways for school districts to, for other mask options, basically, beyond just the basic requirement and the exceptions that currently exist. We really hope that reexamination continues, and that districts get more tools and more pathways with regards to masks. Other things in section 1, social distancing. We'll continue to do that to the greatest extent possible. We did go below 6 feet this year, but we did not see any problems come out of that. So, again, we'll be great as we can in terms of social distancing, but we will be below 6 feet for sure. because we'll have all our kids back. Buses, same thing next year, windows open. We will allow volunteers and outside guests this coming year. We did not do that this year, so we're very excited about that. That'll let us bring things back, like, for example, the fire education program that our great fire department provides. Field trips, we didn't do those this year, and at this point, we're kind of on a to be determined status for field trips just until we see what the protocols are in place in the places that we typically go on field trips. In terms of sanitation, continue to do all the cleaning that we've been doing, continue to use our ionizers, which we've had in place for months now, which give us that MERV 13 equivalent filter protection against COVID and other airborne illnesses. Contact tracing will continue to be done just as we did this year, which is in close coordination with the county health department. Just like last year, we'll use a health statement of assurance, which we did through Genesis Parent Portal last August. We'll do that again, that families and staff will complete before the school year starts. And we will continue to share and communicate information about vaccination with families. I've pushed out and a number of my updates, information about where people can go to get vaccinated. And, so we'll continue to do that. And that brings me to the end of section 1. So I'm going to toss the ball over to Ms. McGulick for section 2.
Thank you. So section 2 is ensuring continuity of services. So that section really talks about professional development and how we provide that to staff and different opportunities. And PLCs we talked about in there, which is professional learning communities, and using that as a vehicle to deliver interventions and extensions by our teachers talking to each other, analyzing data. And it really talks about, starting the school year out, as Dr. Smith had said, with that consistent daily full day schedule, building those fall routines and structures that were hard to establish in a hybrid model. Building on those and going back to some of the additional, we still did baseline data this past year, but being able to do some additional baseline data. Plus there will be, the state is going to be doing some fall testing as well with the Start Strong. So using baseline data to make decisions in terms of instructional and responsive planning for our kids and where they're at. Focusing on social emotional competencies. So for us in our district, we use responsive classroom, we use responsive teaching in middle school. So establishing those social emotional, that mental health and wellness kind of initiatives. And then in terms of academic competencies, those academic behaviors, growth mindset, and then looking for places where we would deliver our tiered interventions. So for us, that's differentiating within the classroom, but we also have what's an INRS program in place at each school. There's a team. So they deliver what are called classroom interventions or recommendations. They have what's called supplemental interventions, and then there's more intensive interventions that are done by a specialist. And that team makes decisions about where kids are. It might be something where there's either a learning identified need, it might be something that's behavior, it might be something that's social emotional. And then the last part of that, really in that tiered place, would also be looking at our specialized programs. So if a student would need to be evaluated for child study team or ESL, and just kind of, again, looking at what's most important every year is student growth. So where kids are starting and that they're making growth and progressing. And again, that whole social, emotional, and academic piece being a focus. And I'll turn it back to Dr. Smith.
Thank you, Ms. McGulick. So section 3 is the public comment section. Just talks about sort of what districts have done to listen and share. So like I said earlier, we posted the plan on our homepage last week on June 15th, emailed it, communicated it to staff and families last week. We have the Google form, which is also on our website, to collect feedback from any and all stakeholders, community members, parents, staff. Anyone can communicate with me directly as well. We have the board meeting tonight. We have July, we have August, continued communication. We'll leave that Google form feedback open. So, because again, this is a living process, and without the guidance that came out yet, we know there's probably going to be changes ahead. So we want to keep listening and have people keep sharing. So far, just, terms of that feedback form, if this is useful info. So when I checked, last check, which is about 5 p.m. today, we had 71 comments total. So out of the, and just come back to the masks, I know that's the main topic, right? So 71 comments total. Out of those 71, 58 addressed masks in some way, and 13 did not. And the way the form is set up, it doesn't ask specifically, it has one really general question, which is basically like, share your feedback with us, right? So people weren't forced to talk about any one topic. Out of the 58 comments that addressed masks, 43 were against masks, think masks should be optional, and 15 were for masks, think masks should be required. So if you do a percentage on that, that's 74% think masks should be optional, 26% are for masks. I would say, you know, it's one of those things like the little voice in my head, I guess my dissertation voice, that's the doctor part. The doctor voice goes off in my head saying, okay, it's not scientific in this way and that way and this way, right? Because someone can submit multiple times to the form. Often if you have like, you know, since the plan is adhering to the current guidelines and says masks are required, that's sort of the default. So it's more likely that people are going to, you know, people who agree with that aren't going to submit, right? If it said masks were optional, it probably would increase the percentage of people who were saying masks should be required. Another stat just for our thinking, as of the last day of school, we still had 20% of students remote, which is interesting, you know. So we started off the year around 72%. We dipped down around 69% during the height of COVID in the wintertime. And then we kept climbing back slowly towards more kids coming in. And where we topped out was 80%. So that was our 80% in person as of the last day of school. That was our highest number, highest percentage in person all school year. It did mean that, you know, there's still 20% of families who basically aren't going to have the option that they had all year because Governor Murphy said there's going to be no remote learning. So, you know, that's a pretty big shift potentially there. Like I said, so we'll definitely continue to solicit, listen, appreciate feedback throughout the summer, and those are our comments about the return plan. So,
Thank you, Dr. Smith. Any questions or comments from the board on not just Dr. Smith's comments, but for everything that is up in the motion? Ms. Everhart.
I just wanted to give a shout out to those retirees that are leaving the district, specifically to Mrs. Nazel. I know that there was a shout out to her last night at the graduation. So good luck to you. Very passionate, dynamic individual that is leaving the district but going on to that second chapter. So wishing you best of luck. And also to Laura Lutz, who was Senora Lutz. She was our Spanish connection here at MES and at Rice. I remember back in the day when she was traveling on a cart. And I had personal experience with her with my daughter. And so I just want to wish her a lot of luck. I know she has a lot of grandbabies. And again, congratulations to everyone who's retiring, but specifically to those two, good luck on your second chapter. Switching gears, though, while I have the mic, can I just go to finance for a minute? It's not on the agenda, but I did bring up these two questions at the finance meeting, and I had said to Mr. Rashinti and Dr. Smith that I would bring it up, ask the same questions here for the benefit of the board, just so that everybody else on the board could hear the answers that were given to the finance committee regarding these two topics. So I had a question regarding where were we or how were we doing with bus advertising? So if we could have someone from the committee or Dr. Smith or Mr. Rashinti to address that. That's my first question.
it's a great question, Ms. Everhart. Thank you, because it's like one of those topics that we should keep circling back to periodically. I spoke with our Mr. Calkins. He's the gentleman who runs schoolbusadvertising.com, which is the company that is overseeing the bus advertising for us. As of this week, We have 2 companies who are potentially interested in going to do it, not finalized yet. I'd love for that number to be more like 8 or 10 companies. So since we're talking on the subject, I would just say, you know, for anyone looking, and it's inexpensive and absolutely eye-catching, right? If you think when there's an advertisement somewhere where there wasn't before, when something is somewhere where it wasn't before, everyone sees it. Everyone will see the advertisement, you know, and to have your company associated with a trusted brand of our school district, right, which is serving families, the same families that businesses serve, is actually like a peanut butter and chocolate combination. So I would just encourage all businesses to keep thinking about it. Reach out to me, please, if you're interested. I will put you in immediate contact with the company that's helping us, and in order for you to learn more. But it's a service to the community, to your business, to our families. Win, win, win. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much for your comment. I also had a second question, which was where were we on the land purchase by the council? If we could update the board with the same answers that we discussed at the finance meeting. Thank you.
Another great question. So, yeah, so we have 2 properties that our township, we're very glad for, is interested in purchasing. One of them is in Cambridge, and one of them is in Country Farms. The Cambridge property, we have approval from the state already for that. The Country Farms property, which is the larger one, we are in the process of getting approval, and that does take time, and I'll use the word months. It takes months to get approval for that. It is in the pipeline and progressing, not currently approved, but will eventually be. And you know, in terms of sequence, that would be the property that is most desirable to sell first because of its immediate use value. So, you know, we'll have updates in the months ahead, but it'll likely be the Country Farm space that sells first once the approval is finalized.
Thank you, Dr. Smith.
Any other questions or comments? Mr. Kent?
All right.
Well, Ms. Fleming, Mr. Cantum has the floor, and then I'll get to you. Oh, no problem.
Thanks.
And then
Okay.
Mr. Lanzalotta, I saw your hand too. So.
Okay. Briefly from the curriculum perspective, I know we talked about the safe return plan, and we've been talking about grants all year, so I'll save those 2 updates. They're in the agenda. If you have any questions, you could ask me or Mr. McGulick after. But the one update I did want to share was about the summer reading, Be Theme, Be Kind for our One District, One Theme. I just wanted to say there's not only a variety of perspective there, but also a variety of form. We have a graphic-ish novel there, which I think is really cool. So I just wanted to mention that. And then from the finance section, 9.5, I wanted to thank the Darwin and Danielle Walker Foundation for their extremely generous donation in support of our district libraries via the Dion Book Drive. It was very generous, so thanks for that. I had the opportunity to hear them speak about their foundation at a community event last weekend, and that was really great. It was very inspiring, so thanks for that.
Thank you, Mr. Cantum.
Mr. Canton, if I can just second that, what you said about the donation, because like we both got to meet with Mr. and Mrs. Walker at the Juneteenth event that the township organized and that Dion organized last Saturday, and very thankful for that generous donation of books, $1,000. That's quite a gift. So thank you again to the Walker Foundation.
And I'd add too, the books are ordered and we're excited they're on the way.
I was like the voice of God. I had no idea where you were coming from. I looked over here and I'm like Marianne's not moving. All right, Ms. Fleming, the floor is yours. Thank you, Ms. Fleming. Mr. Lanzalotta, thank you for your patience.
Thanks. Thank you, Mr. Fitzgerald. I appreciate it. I'd like to piggyback on what Ms. Everhart and what Ms. Fleming said about our retirees, but I'd also like to congratulate the new hires that were in 1010, agenda items 1010. Special shout out goes to Dan Forcier, who is my neighbor. I'd like to just say welcome to the family to all of the new hirees. And also, congratulations to all of the 8th grade graduates. I'm sure we're going to get to that, but I just wanted to make sure I acknowledge all of you. Congratulations.
Any other questions or comments? Ms. Ryan?
I just wanted to thank the Walkers for reaching out, and I was glad I could point them in the right direction and hook them up with Dr. Smith, and the district truly appreciates your generosity. And I do want to give a shout out to all our custodial staff. I mean, the past couple weeks have been hot, and they have set up for lead graduations, they have set up for graduation itself, and they've done an amazing, amazing job. So shout out to our whole custodial staff. Thank you for keeping us safe all year, and thank you for all your hard work.
They were fantastic last night, the graduations. They were absolutely fantastic. And the graduations, Mr. Hoffman, I know Mr. Romanelli's not here, but seamless and great transition into the outdoor spectrum. It brought me back to into 1995 when I was out on there as a middle school student. So it was, yeah, it's a little flashback there, but nice job. Excellent job by everybody involved. Any other questions or comments? All right. Seeing none, we're going to go for a roll call. Again, remember, it is for items 7 through 11, not the convenience store.
Mrs. Capello,
Yes.
Mrs. Everhart,
Yes.
Mr. Fizzicaro,
Yes.
Ms. Fleming. Yes. Mr. Cathan,
Yes to everything except for 9.4, line item 3, because that's me.
are you abstaining or no?
Oh, abstaining from 9.4, line item 3, yes to everything else.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Lanzalotta,
Yes.
Mr. Megan,
Yes.
Mrs. Ryan.
Yes to everything but 9.4, board member Trevor, abstain, please.
Okay, motion carries.
Thank you. At this point in time, we're going to be moving into committee reports. Are there any committees that have a report that they have not shared yet? All right, Mr. Lanzalotta?
Thank you, Mr. Fitzgerald. I'd like to just thank Principals Irene Romanelli and Nick DeBlasi, as well as the Dion Group representatives for meeting with Dr. Smith and the Community Outreach Committee on June 14th. Discussed was the Evesham Juneteenth celebration, the Dion Book Drive, as well as their proposal for equality and equity for all Evesham students. It went very well, and it looks like there's a great relationship being formed between the Dion Group and the Evesham School District. So, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Lanzalotta. Anybody else? Ms. Everhart?
I'm not the committee chair for the Ed Foundation, but I just wanted to talk about the golf outing. I worked the golf outing, and I just wanted to say that it was a successful event. I can't remember the last time that the Ed Foundation golf event was sold out. So coming off of the heels of a pandemic and having a sold out event of which we get proceeds from that for Genesis and Metamorphosis. So thank you to everyone who participated in the golf outing. I also wanted to say that this year they recognized the service of our school nurses, which was something different. They recognized other individuals as well, but the fact that they recognized all the hard work and commitment that everyone in the district does, but specifically to the nursing staff who helped us have a successful school year. So thank you to the Ed Foundation for that, and I'll turn it over to you.
Well, I really don't have anything else to add other than thank you to the Evesham Education Foundation and all of those who participated in the golf outing. The district appreciates your efforts in supplying us with extra funds for some great programs. And thank you, Ms. Everhart, for working and supporting.
Anybody else? All right, seeing none, we're going to move to number 13, old business. There is no old business, so we'll move to item 14, new business. Surprise, surprise, there is no new business. All right, not the end of June. All right, at this point in time, we're going to item 15, open public comment. This meeting will now be open to the public referencing any items of interest. However, your questions or comments pertain to litigation, student or personnel items, or negotiations, we would ask that you see the superintendent after the meeting. Since we do not discuss these matters in public, please limit your comments to 3 minutes per person. Anybody wish to speak? Just if you can give me your name and address.
Sure. Brittany Relvis, 127 Crown Prince Drive. I usually have 3 children in tow. They are not here because they are out of the country, so it is my job to speak on their behalf. I want to speak on the mask mandate. I think it's disgusting what we're doing to our children. I think your answer of following the guidance of Governor Murphy is an excuse. There's a lot of moms here that are supporting, each other and trying to do the best for these kids. Last night was Lenape Regional. The language was changed there to make mask optional. Medford, mask optional. These are our surrounding districts. These are our babies. You talked about a health risk. Well, let's talk about a mental health risk. I work for the state of New Jersey. I work with parolees. It's been a long 16 months for everyone, but when my guys coming out of state prison have more rights in state prison than my children do in their classroom, I have a big problem with that. One thing mentioned in your safety plan, it talks about the correct wearing a mask. Well, as I sit here for almost an hour, there's multiple board members that, with my mask knowledge, I would think that they are not correctly wearing those masks. So if we're just doing it as a show, we could stop now. It's time to fight and stand up for our children. I pay taxes here. My kids go to school here. We had a conversation. I know I'm not supposed to call anyone out, but I asked a very specific question about my children and what the enrollment date was to unenroll my kids, so that money wasn't counted for my 3 children. And I was told that's not how it works. I know that's how it works. You guys have a right to do what's right by these children. And what you're doing right now is not right. I understand you sent a letter, but then you went and you put mask mandatory in your return to school plan. That's talking out of 2 sides of your mouth. It's time to stand up and fight for these children. My kids are in Portugal right now. My 5-year-old calls me every day. The first question she asks me is, do we have to wear a mask when we go back to school? This is disgusting, okay? I'm not even going to get into all the headaches and migraines my twins have dealt with. I finally pulled them 2 weeks early because one was throwing up in a bag, and my 5-year-old wasn't allowed to play in free time anymore because her teacher felt that she wasn't wearing her mask correctly. But again, as I stand here, I see that people don't know how to wear masks correctly, and the fact that we are going to put that on these poor teachers too, because they should be maskless as well to teach these kids. I think it's time for you guys to step up as a board and do what's right for our children here in Evesham. I'm done. Thank you.
Thank you. Same thing, name and address, please.
Lauren Goulden, 137 Halsey Lane. I want to piggyback off of what she said about the health and welfare of our children. What these masks are doing is inhibiting their health, the way that they learn. My children have been suffering. I've gotten numerous phone calls from the nurse, headaches, chest pains, stomach aches, nosebleeds. Never happened before this year. My 8-year-old daughter has come home with a different mask on multiple times because while she's sitting there taking a math test, her nose starts dripping with blood. Can I tell you, before September, that child never had one nosebleed. Nace, would you like to come talk? She would like to tell you how much she does not enjoy wearing a mask, how bad she wants to see her teachers' faces, and go ahead.
Every time, almost every day I come home from school, I come home telling my mom that I've been to the nurse because of nosebleeds, headaches, chest pains, and trouble breathing. And I've been going to the nurse after I come in from lunch and recess because I've been running around on the playground with the mask on because they say I have to wear it while I'm playing. And It's making me have trouble breathing while I'm running around. And it just makes it hard for me to breathe, concentrate in school because the mask is like kind of blocking a little bit of your sight, so it's hard to concentrate in school because it's hard for you to breathe.
Good job. You want to talk too? Come on. Stage right. Here. You want to say something? Okay. It's okay. It's all right. Go ahead. What we discussed earlier before, what she wanted to tell you, whether that all she wanted to do all year was see her friends' faces, her teacher's face, and anything else, maybe? What? Here, stay with mommy. Go ahead.
I'm having trouble learning.
What? It's okay. Sorry, she's a little shy in front of you guys. Go ahead, baby.
It is intimidating. I totally understand that.
You did good, honey. But from what I know, Murphy has left it up to the Board of Ed. And what you guys need to do is do right by these kids. Let them get the education that they deserve. Thank you.
Thank you. Name and address, please.
Nick Stauffer, 8 Wellesley Way. I'm a medical biostatistician. I'm a product of the Lenape Regional High School system. I've graduated from Lenape, and I've recently testified at the Assembly at the State House to discuss the statistics regarding children in COVID-19. I have come here today to present to you what I presented to them. Here is a pie chart of all of the different causes of death for school-age children between the ages of 5 and 18. You can see here, out of all the deaths, right here, from the time from 2020, January 2020 to May 2021, three died from COVID-18. 80 died from accidental injuries. 32 died from homicide, and suicide is 37 children. I have hidden here the rate. Beyond COVID-19, children die from homicide 11 times more than COVID-19 within this time. And yet we do not require children to wear Kevlar vests to school for their protection. 3 died from COVID, and we still require them to wear a medical intervention. By definition of the FDA, that mask that you're wearing is a medical device. If you go to the FDA website, it's under emergency authorized use. It is for the prevention of disease. Okay, so it is a medical device that you have on your face, according to the FDA. This pie chart shows that there's no reason for medical intervention. Over half of the people have already had immunity, probably up to 70%. The amount of children that will die from COVID-19 or even be hospitalized is shown by the CDC to be only about 0.001%. To be hospitalized is 0.002%. It's hardly anything. Your child's risk of dying in a car accident is 1 in 7,500, and yet we still let them get in cars every day. Okay, what you're doing is putting a medical device using a medical intervention, which is a mask, on children that they do not need a medical intervention. And it is a medical device according to the FDA. And I know what a medical device is because part of my job is to do clinical trials. And what I do is I take a medical device and put it on a population of people and do a study. Does that sound familiar to you? I take a medical device, like a mask, and put it on a population of people. That's what you're doing in the school. You're conducting a clinical trial just like I do. Now, I realize the governor told you to do that, but it doesn't make it ethical, and it doesn't make it right, and it doesn't mean that you know what you're doing when you put this mask on the kids at school. You're collecting adverse events. Where's your adverse event report from the mask? Where is that? You have a nurse's log. Where is the reporting system that you do? Parents have adverse events. Their children are going to doctor's appointments. Who's liable for that? You never had one parent sign a consent form for your clinical trial that you're doing in the school. And you can tell me you're not doing a clinical trial, but you're putting a medical device on their face as defined by the FDA. That's what you're doing. And you have no incidence reports. You take no responsibility for the mask. You don't have trained people making sure it's worn properly, not wet, and taking all the safety precautions. Plus, you just don't know what you're doing. And I realize the governor told you to do that, but it doesn't make it ethical and it doesn't make it right. And now you know, and somebody's going to be held accountable. And it's not going to be Governor Murphy. It's going to be the people who put the mask on the kids every day. Those doctor's appointments and those adverse events and the time lost learning from masks is your responsibility. It's yours. And eventually it's going to come and you're going to figure it out. And it's going to be very uncomfortable. I'm glad I'm not in your position, because if I was, I would leave the board, because I would lose my job, because it is unethical to do what you're doing. And I'm just letting you know that it's coming. The law will eventually come up, and it'll eventually meet up to where this is. It's unprecedented, but it's eventually going to catch up to you. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? Your name and address, please.
Do I twist this or something? Thanks. Is that good? Yeah. Joey Taglieri. My address is 414 Sedgwick Lane, and I'll be a sophomore this upcoming year for Cherokee High School. I've been in this school since through 6th and 8th grade, and I just think this mask stuff needs to stop, because it's almost like these kids don't have a say, and I don't think that's right. And for example, I have a brother who just graduated 6th grade, and since probably 2020 of the fall, me and him started playing sports, and it's all like a same group of kids, all the same kids at school, who are doing much more than at like the desk. They have lower risk of even getting this virus than from playing soccer or any other sport and being with each other. And even in those conditions, no one has gotten the virus. I've been doing wrestling for high school. There was only one case of COVID on my team, and there's many kids in all these sports, and I don't know the exact numbers, but I'm sure it's not a lot. And with the masks too, about in this year or last year, I went to school. I have pretty bad allergies, so I went to school and I started to sneeze, and snot would build up in my mask, and it was basically just drenched. When I came home, my parents were shocked. I had snot coming down my chin. It was just the most horrible thing I ever experienced being in school. And I think, and I know I'm not the only kid who's gone through that. I've had friends who's had stuff like that, and I know there's so many more kids who've had. So, it's just not right, because like what she said, only 3 kids. That's nothing compared to the amount of kids that are in schools. So that's all I can. And before I end, I just want you to think what it felt like for me being in the school with a wet mask for probably 5 hours a day and trying to get through that day. So that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Anyone else? How you doing? Name and address. Doing a great job, Gary. I just want to let you know.
Thank you. Good evening. I'm Shelja Touri, Woodlands Development. I'd like to acknowledge the traditional landowners throughout Northern America and recognise their continuing connection to land, waters and culture. The land on which this board is meeting on is being held on part of the ancient homeland and territory of the Lenni Lenape people. I pay my respects to peoples continuing past, present and emerging, and I respect their continuing presence in the homeland and throughout the Lenape diaspora. I represent Dion. We're a local community-led advocate group addressing diversity, equity and inclusion. That land acknowledgement that I just read, I read it the last time that I was here last month as well. It took me probably 25 seconds, and I really encourage the board to act on implementing that into your meetings. I know that we have talked about it before, and it would be a really great example to not just your students, but to all of your staff and to everybody in the community to join the likes of Evesham Township Council and Evesham Township Human Rights Advisory Committee to actually open your meetings doing a land acknowledgement. In addition, I'm also here to say thank you to Dr. Justin Smith, Mr. Anish Kantman, Jeff Lanzalotta, Irene Romanelli and Mr. Nick DeBlasi for meeting with us on Thursday last week. We went through the Dion proposal summary, which we have talked about for several months now. Basically the goals, and we talked about the goals and the importance of having an inclusive interdisciplinary curriculum, the urgency to increase in hiring diverse faculty, providing faculty and staff with guidance from outside entities that are specifically trained to educate professionals on implicit bias and tactical DEI, and offering multicultural extracurricular activities to students. So we hope that you guys found the proposal summary and that conversation helpful. We did provide quite a lot of research and data and also resources on how these things can be addressed in Evesham Township School District. We want, what Dion is, you know, with the partnership that we have with the school district, we want to be better than just the standards. We want to be better than New Jersey minimum standards. We'd love to be an example to other districts who want to come to you as professionals and get your advice on how they can do these things in their school district. So thank you for attending that meeting. It was really, a really good conversation we had. Also, Dion, as mentioned earlier, Dion partnered with Evesham Township to hold the town's first Juneteenth celebration this past Saturday, June 19th. It was held at Savage Field, which we know is an Indigenous burial ground. Probably more important to add in land acknowledgement, given that we have the history right here. I, along with Nicole Lucas, we were not only hosted the day, we also had spent many weeks earlier to try and organise that liaison with the township. The program was very robust and included several local students and alumni of Evesham Township School District who sang, danced and read poetry, commemorating on the richness of Black culture. And we also celebrated the end of the Dion book drive, which you guys have also been talking about throughout this meeting. So we have ended it. It was a really successful 2 months. It started April 21st and ended on June 21st, so the past Monday. I just wanted to let you all know that we collected over 350 books. We raised $2,100 worth of cash and gift cards for Amazon. So this far exceeded our original goal of collecting 250 books. We'd like to also thank Danielle and Darwin Walker from their foundation who donated $1,000 towards the Dion book drive, and thank you Mrs. McGoulick for liaising with them on the purchase of those books. It's really appreciated. We also want to say thank you to Rastelli's Food Market who donated $300 worth of Amazon gift cards to us. So on the day we had the Education Chair for the Southern Burlington County Branch NAACP, Mr. Quinton Law, who came and he commented on the book drive and he commented on the partnership with Dion. He also, just expressed here the importance of all students being represented in what they read and exposing non-minority children as well to children of diversity from a young age. So he, along with Dion members, attended and presented books to a group of students, so current students within Evesham Township School District. They came up on stage. They were there with Dr. Smith and Mr. Cantham. And it was really good to see you guys attend, and Mrs. Magulik as well. We really encourage it, all board members try and attend these things too. It really is important to students to be able to see these faces who make decisions in their education. We also wish to extend the sincere thank you and generosity to the support shown throughout the community, and we're excited to continue to work with the board and to work with you, Dr. Smith and Mrs. Magulik, for in the future for a better curriculum and a more diverse, friendly schools. Thank you.
Thank you very much. You good? Oh. Name and address.
Rick Wells, Buckley Lane, Marlton. I've been paying property tax in this town for 30 years. First thing I want to do is congratulate these people that had enough passion to come here and complain. I'm very surprised that there wasn't 3,000 people here, just like these people here. The Board of Eds throughout this country are being attacked viciously by parents because their voices are not being heard. Their children are suffering. They're wearing masks. I dealt with a kindergarten grandson, remote kindergarten. 180 days, horrible, horrible. I'm not wearing a mask because I've been doubly vaccinated. I'm assuming you're all wearing masks because you haven't been vaccinated. That's what CDC told us. I'm surprised that you're wearing masks. May I ask why you're wearing masks? Are you told to wear a mask, or have you not been vaccinated?
No one on the board is going to talk about their medical history or what they've done. We're not doing that.
Again, I'll reiterate, I am surprised that there's hardly anybody here. I was expecting not to be able to get into this room, but it'll change. Every month that you're supposedly having meetings, more and more people will be coming here because they are outraged. You've seen it in Loudoun County, Virginia, in California. People have had enough. People have had enough. Wake up, see how these kids are suffering. I assume you don't have kids that are in school, obviously, or you would do something about it. Governor Murphy, he got it wrong from day one by not protecting the elderly. Okay? So keep an open mind. These kids are not getting sick in school. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, seeing no other comment, we are going to close that portion of the board. And we are going to move into board member announcements. Are there any announcements? I think we kind of covered everything. Yeah. All right. Mr. Lanzalotta?
Very quick. Thank you, Mr. Fitzcarrall. I just wanted to reiterate one more time a huge thanks to all the staff throughout the school district. As a teacher and a parent, I know how exhausting this school year was. And I have to tell you that despite all the mandates, despite the rules, despite everything that we went through, the teachers here really came through. The whole staff really came through. And it was an extremely effective school year, despite all of the obstacles. So I want to throw out just a huge thank you to everyone who participated this year and helped out, with all of our students. So thank you very much.
Anybody else? This is a daunting year. The exhaustion is all around. And I would just close out by saying to everyone who's listening and those who I hope really aren't and are on vacation mode, that every single one of you deserve your vacation. Parents, student, and especially staff, for everything you have done. I know it's been, I honestly, and you know me, I don't even have the words for it at this point. I think I've exhausted my vocabulary this year. But you all deserve a very restful and rejuvenated summer. And I wish you all the best in health and happiness for the coming months. And thank you for the best that you could give us, which was amazing. Thank you. At this point in time, I'm looking for a motion to adjourn. Motion by Ms. Ryan, seconded by Mr. Lanzalotta. All in favor? Aye. Have a wonderful summer, everyone.